Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We just hit 49.7k subs. Let's try to get to 50k by election day. Please like this video down below and subscribe to the channel. But before we get started, I have to tell you guys about my friends over at My Patriot Supply. Friends, we're fast approaching what many believe to be the true second wave of COVID-19, and this may be even worse than the first. On top of that, our nation's political uncertainty and civil unrest will impact every area of your life. Are you ready? Another round of quarantines and shortages may be on the way, but those that know what's coming are using today to prepare for the worst. And that's why I strongly recommend My Patriot Supply, the only source I personally trust and use for my emergency food preparedness plan, and you can too. Right now, save $100 off a full 4-week supply of nutritious meals that supply 2,000 calories a day to save your life when panic or disaster hits and food disappears again from your local grocery store. Saving $100 is impossible to pass up, especially now. So go to preparewithredeagle.com and get ready now. There's no time to waste. That's preparewithredeagle.com, preparewithredeagle.com. And today we have to do some analysis over what Donald Trump's strategy to win the 2020 election is. I did a video yesterday about mail-in ballot returns. Today we're going to be focusing on what Trump's actual strategy is to win this election. And it's no surprise that Donald Trump is down in the polls right now. They have him down like 9 to 10 points. Not going to happen, I can guarantee you. Donald Trump would not even go into this election if he had a giant chance at losing. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't embarrass himself. It's not going to happen. It's going to go down the wire. I've said it from the beginning. I expect Biden to win the popular vote by 3 to 4. I expect Donald Trump to still get a narrow victory in the Electoral College. We'll just have to see how the map shakes up. And this is what Donald Trump is going for. So right now, Trump is scaling back some ad spending and funding. He's not pulling out of these states, but he's scaling back some funding and redirecting some funding as a whole. Now, Trump is scaling back funding in Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, New Hampshire, Ohio, and Minnesota. Now, it's reasonable to believe that he's scaling back funding in Iowa and Ohio because he believes that he is going to win those two states by a sizable margin, regardless of what public polls are saying. His internals probably have him up by 7 to 10 points in both states or so he is cutting some funding out of Ohio and Iowa. He's also scaling back funding in Nevada and Minnesota as well as New Hampshire, which kind of leads me to believe that he's kind of a little bit less bullish on winning the states as he was about a month ago. He's also scaling back funding in Michigan and Wisconsin, which is understandable because he's redirecting the funding to other states, and it's easy to see why that would be the case. I'm not going to say that he's giving up on those states, and in fact, I actually do believe that he will make a last-minute push for them, but he wants to secure 270, and he is putting ad revenue in Arizona, he's putting ad revenue in Georgia, and Florida, North Carolina, Nebraska, Maine, and Pennsylvania. That's the big one. So he's going all in on Pennsylvania, which makes sense. Biden is focusing a lot of energy on Pennsylvania right now, if not too much energy. If he's really up by 10, I don't really believe he'd be focusing that much energy on Pennsylvania, whether you consider it the tipping point state or not, which actually I believe Wisconsin is probably a little bit more likely to be the tipping point state, in my opinion, than the state of Pennsylvania, but we'll just have to see. Trump sees an opening in Arizona. He wants to get Arizona, Georgia, Florida shored up to his column because he's already done that with Ohio and Iowa. And then in the last-minute stretch, he will be focusing more of his time and more of his energy trying to get places like Michigan, Wisconsin, maybe even New Hampshire and Minnesota if the time permits. And I'm going to show you on the electoral map what Trump's strategy is. So I'm going to fill out the Republican states here. Trump is more likely than not going to win a lot of the safe red states here. Even though you'll see the occasional poll with Missouri close, we've seen them in 2018, we've seen them in 2016. They're not really going to fool me anymore at this point. But let me move the map down here so you guys can get a better look at it. Nebraska, he is going to win South Carolina, so 122, and Alaska. That would bring him up to 125. The Democrats are planning on winning the coasts, obviously, and they'll win them safe. Virginia probably goes safe, as well as Colorado. New Mexico, likely blue in my last map, as well as the fact they'll win Illinois. New York, Maine's first, no problem. Maine at large probably goes likely blue at this rate as well. So they're already starting off with about 212 electoral votes that are roughly solidly in their column, Republicans, again, are probably going to win the TIGO states, Texas, Iowa, Georgia, and Ohio. Texas is looking more and more favorable for Republicans. They're up in the RCP average by 4.4%. So I think Texas is going to hold. Biden's pulling campaign funding out of Texas, outside of San Antonio and El Paso, which leads me to believe that he's just putting a little bit in there for the sake of potentially shoring up some down ballot races, such as House districts. Georgia as well. Biden and Trump have been focusing a little bit of energy on Georgia. I don't think Biden expects to win Georgia. The polls have Trump up in Georgia. I think Trump wins Georgia by around 3 to 4%, and will give Maine second to Trump. That'll bring him up to 204 electoral votes here. So what is Donald Trump's strategy? We have to look into this because Trump seems to be shoring up the FAN states, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina. So you have TIGO and you also have FAN. And it seems like a good strategy for Trump because I think that if you look at all the metrics, the absentee turnout models, everything we've seen out of Florida looks pretty good for Republicans, very encouraging. I think Trump will pull off a narrow victory in the state of Florida, so he should really have no problem winning the state of Florida, as well as North Carolina. All the energy Hillary spent there in 2016 couldn't win it. Biden's focusing on it a little bit less, and the fact that a lot of these rural areas in North Carolina will likely come out again for Donald Trump leads me to believe that North Carolina is probably going to go for Donald Trump yet again. Even if it is a close state, it should go to him 2 to 3%. It could be a closer margin than that. I also think the Cunningham scandal probably helps Trump a little bit. It definitely helps Tom Tillis. I do think Tillis is going to be a little bit more favored to win now. So 248 is roughly Trump's minimum, 212. But Trump is focusing on spending a lot of money in Arizona. He's adding $3 million to Arizona in order to help him win. And I believe that is probably going to help him. And that's what his strategy is. I think it's going to be a very narrow victory for Trump. I think Mark Kelly is going to win by a narrower margin than I originally thought. I think he'll win by a Sinema-esque margin. And I think Donald Trump will also win the state of Arizona by a narrow margin, 1 to 2 percentage points or so. So that's going to get him to 259. Nebraska's second. I think Trump is also going to make a push forth. The Democrat Party in Nebraska has been a total disarray this entire cycle. That leads me to believe Trump is shoring up Nebraska's second, which gets him to 260 electoral votes. So already, one can reasonably believe, regardless of what the national polling average is showing, Donald Trump is closer and closer to 270 electoral votes than a lot of people would like to admit. And Arizona, you had the Trafalgar poll yesterday that had Donald Trump up 4. A lot of people forget that Trafalgar actually did nail Arizona back in 2018 before they put the last-minute push poll out to try to fit in line with the aggregate that had McSally up. They thought it would help their reputation to do so, and it really didn't. It kind of backfired on them, and they lost a little bit of credibility because of it. But I do believe that if they have Trump up by 4, that Donald Trump is very much in play. I think he'd probably be up by like 1 or 2. It is a Republican-leaning pollster, and you do have to take that into consideration. But I think that Trump knows he's in for a fight in Arizona, but he's still probably favored to win it narrowly if you look at the metrics throughout the state, and especially if you look at exactly where McSally underperformed Trump was in the areas that did not really swing left very heavily in 2016, which leads me to believe that there are a lot of Trump cinema voters. There are just a lot of Trump voters who didn't vote in the midterms that will probably come out and vote for the presidential election. So we'll really just have to wait and see on that, but I still think Arizona's favorable for Trump. Now, you can give New Hampshire to the Democrats narrowly, which is not a sure thing, by the way. You can give them Nevada in the lean column. I think that Biden thinks he's going to win Nevada. I think Donald Trump knows it'd be a little bit of a long shot for him to win unless he drastically improves his margins with Latino voters in the state. But even then, it might not be enough because Las Vegas, and then you have the suburbs around Las Vegas, and it may not be the most favorable county for Donald Trump to win, Clark County, which has over half the state's population. So here we are. We have 4 states left on the map here. I'm not doing this as a prediction. I'm just showing you what Donald Trump's path is to win. And Donald Trump sees an opening here. He sees himself getting 260 electoral votes, and then he realizes that he has to just go 1 out of 4 of the upper Midwest and Rust Belt, which is Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. He goes 1 out of 4 in these 4 states, and he gets reelected president. He is focusing right now on Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a state where he won by increasing his own turnout specifically, and even if Biden does replicate Hillary Clinton's turnout in Philadelphia and the suburbs and does even a little bit better, if Donald Trump can still get his base out to vote in Pennsylvania, he still has a very good shot at keeping the state in his column. And I think that he knows it. And I think that's why he's focusing on Pennsylvania. And I think the Biden campaign is spending so much time there because their internals are showing something a little bit differently than what the national polls are showing. So if Donald Trump gets Pennsylvania, he's at 280 electoral votes, he wins. He's focusing more on Pennsylvania than the others because it's 20 electoral votes, and he sees it as the easiest state for him to win. For example, if Biden does win Arizona, he would still get to 269. But let's give Arizona back to Trump, and let's say Trump loses Pennsylvania. Well, Trump still will put more ad funding down the stretch, almost certainly, in Wisconsin, in Michigan. These are very late-breaking states. Donald Trump is still very much in the fight in them. And if he gets just Wisconsin, he wins. So it's a 1 out of 4 game. But Donald Trump is really going for Pennsylvania. He thinks he can win it. That's why he's putting more of the funding in Pennsylvania right now. That will get him to 280. 280 is more than enough to win. You need 270 to win. You're going to get 280 under this circumstance. So we'll really just have to wait and see. It's going to go down the wire. But if Donald Trump is focusing on the Sun Belt now and Pennsylvania, it's a very good strategy because that alone can get him to 280 electoral votes. We'll really just have to wait and see. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, become a member, donate to the Patreon or subscribe, star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.